Today's guest on Adversity to Strength is someone who has redefined what success truly means, not by chasing it harder, but by transforming it from inside out. Taiwanese born and world seasoned Shuang-Min Chang spent over a decade at the top of the luxury fashion world, leading high growth markets for elite French and Italian brands across Mumbai, Milan, and Shanghai. On paper, she had it all: straight A student, elite degrees, global career, but behind the scenes, she battled deep depression, self sabotage, and profound loneliness. Her turning point came at just 23, and over the next 15 plus years, Sean Min crossed powerful personal thresholds from burnout to spiritual awakening, from trauma to deep healing, and from overachievement to soulful alignment. Now known as the holistic successor, activator, and intuitive healer, she helps overworked but underwhelmed high achievers create lives of truth, love, and freedom without burning out in the process. Her clients, often 5 to 10 times their income, receive effortless promotions, radically transform their self-worth, relationships, and leadership, all through the path of alignment. She stands for a new kind of success, one that is built from the inside out. Please welcome to Adversity to Strength, Shuang-Min Chang. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast today.
Thank you, Lee. Wow, that was an amazing introduction. I was like, who is that woman? Thank you so much. And I'm really excited to have a conversation here.
Yeah, it's been great to get you on, and obviously reading up about you. Such an interesting story there. So I really can't wait to hear it. Take us back to the beginning of your journey for you, wherever that was. How did it all start for you to get to where you are today?
Well, I guess all our journey started when we were born. At the beginning was quite
Sure.
unconscious because we were grew up in a family, we were learning the human world, and I could take as far back as I didn't quite understand back then when I was a little girl. I started journaling when I was 13.
Mhm.
And then I was also in my teenager years. So there was a confusing time for most of the people when we enter the adolescence or the teenager years. I actually asked the question of why am I not happy? Well, in Taiwan, we have a lot of pressure in school and
Yeah.
a lot of expectation from family. There's a lot of things coming together. I from the Buddhist family, so in Buddhism, they talk about the so-called big loves. Now in my work, I call it universal love. Is that unconditional love? And I just feel it in my daily life. I couldn't comprehend it as a child with my experience with my family and in school when with friends. So I asked a lot of this kind of question when I was really young, which I wasn't able to find the answer. And then when I was 16, I experienced a stranger loving me so unconditionally for a month. I was in
Yeah.
Canada for summer school, and I stay in the homestay. My homestay mom, she felt it because she chose to love me before I arrived at her house.
Yeah.
And that kind of energy, it's very shocking at the beginning. At the same time, through that experience, I started to understand this possibility to my questions. Just so I kind of like, I know you describe it, I set myself upon a quest. Even I didn't brag about it or talk about it out loud. I set myself upon a quest to understand what love really is. And that kind of put me, I don't want to use put me through, but that kind of propelled me through to, like really immerse myself in my own life experience. Even sometimes it's challenging. You already mentioned that I went through depression because I went through all kinds of breakups. I became more human beings. Then I had challenges, to recognize my own worth in my pursuit in careers. Like I went through all that on the basis like how this is supporting me or helping me or showing me the doorways to understand what love really is. And so there was a lot of going outward, but actually it's coming back. So that is kind of like the very, very beginning of the whole journey to this point that I am.
Yeah. It sounds like it is such a long journey. How did you know you felt all of this love from this lady in Canada? What made you realize that somebody's showing me so much love?
The first moment when I show up at her door, she gave me a huge hug. I feel like we are emotional animals, so actually we feel
Yeah.
it. So I feel that I wasn't just hugged outside, my heart was hugged. And through my time staying with her, she never, she didn't know my grade. She didn't know how I do. how I did in school, but she encouraged me all the time. I didn't speak English so well, so she encouraged me to speak. She patiently listened to me. And whenever I want to, go downtown on my own, I was 16, she will encourage me to do it. And she will always tell me I'm my own person. I am mature enough to, make my choice, make my own exploration and see to my experience, which it's not in my culture. 16 is like, no, you have to stay in school, you have to do this, do that. And the college is you only go. So like when she told me that I'm my own person, I'm mature enough, I knew what she saw was my potential. She didn't
Right.
see me that I was just a 16 years old and a bit confused and lost and did not have enough life experience. She see me as a human being, as a totality, who I was, who I were at the time, and then who I could be. So that's
Was
how
this,
I knew I was loved so
yeah.
unconditionally.
And was this a different love that you'd felt compared to like your family at all?
Yeah, well, at that time, how I understood, but at that time, my family is how I understood the love from my family is that I need to hit certain criteria to be praised or to be accepted. And being praised, being accepted, being validated is kind of a way of how at least for me, and I think for a lot of people, to
Yeah.
feel love. And the love is they didn't mean to be conditional, but the
Yeah.
way they show it is conditional. And in our culture, it's harder to validate. It's harder to compliment because in our culture, it's like if I give you too much compliments, you are going to be prideful. So it's
Right. Yeah.
always, like kind of like negative, aggressive side of way of
Yeah.
educate
Yeah. Yeah.
of, like education. Yeah.
I've had that with many clients that have been students for like China. And when I say to them it's okay to make a mistake, not to get an A, they look like I'm from like another planet. They're like,
Yeah.
really? And they're so
Yeah.
stressed. They're so anxious. Did you find that was a
Yeah.
lot of pressure for you when you were young? From
Yeah.
your,
To try, I would say no. I was that personality up until the point of my depression because I was so afraid to embarrass myself or to make a mistake, or I was so afraid that people will see me I was not perfect.
yeah, again,
Yeah.
it's so common with that. I need to be perfect. And as a therapist, I'm always telling clients, nobody's perfect. You'll never succeed in being perfect, you know?
So I had that. Yeah.
So you're like 16 in Canada and you've got somebody that's showing you real unconditional love and it's a new experience for
Yeah.
you. And then after how long were you in Canada for? And then where did you go after Canada?
I was only there for the summer. So basically I grew up and I up until the point I got my college degree, so my bachelor degree. So I was 22. And then from that point on, I moved on to India for my first job, for my first and second job. So I spent 3 years in India. And then I spent 2 years and a half in Italy. And then I was in China for 8 years. And in between, I traveled a lot, like covered a lot of grounds in different continents and countries as well.
How did you find all of the traveling? Was that a lot of fun? New experiences?
Yeah, it's for me, it's at the beginning, it was the curiosity, as I said, like, Canada really opened me up. And it also like initially open me up to understand that's not it's not just the only way to live. Because when I am deeply in my own culture, speaking one language and dealing with, people from the same culture, it's easy to believe that there's only one way to live.
Yeah.
And if I move on this way, it's wrong, right? Again, that right or wrong and mistake. But when I travel, when I started experience other cultures, when I started to learn languages, I was open up to know all the truths that we believe that's true is actually perspectives.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And then that changed everything, it changed the game.
Yeah. When did you realize that things are different to what you believed that they were? What was there like a moment, or was it just a gradual thing of when you were learning along the way?
Let me try to think back. I think even, like my homestay mom told me I'm my own person.
Yeah.
Then I started to understand this different perspective. That's like small incidents in my childhood. I I I grew up with the curiosity or passion
Yeah.
to listen to adult conversations. So when they, when there's relative gathering around, the friends of my parents gathering around in our house or whatever, one thing that I like to do as a child is to sit on the side and listen to what everyone was talking about. So in a actually very, very early age, I realized that they are all talking about the same thing, but their emotions are all different and the way they
Right.
describe it are all different. So then that situation kind of planted a seed like, how come it's one thing but it's different?
Yeah.
And I was so little, I couldn't comprehend. But later on, combine, the experience of traveling and meeting foreigners, I started to link the sense of we are animals of storytelling.
Yes.
And we are animals of perspective. So I get to choose my side of story. And the other person also have the right to choose their own side story. Different people can tell different stories about the same thing. I
Yeah.
can tell different things about the same story. It was like to know how to reverse engineer the whole
Yeah.
perspective and storytelling.
When you discovered that, especially with the traveling that you did, how do you think it changed you as a person?
Mm, I know everything is possible. It's up to me whether I chose to decide that. And I know I could be in a place that seems, a taboo or a mistake or not acceptable, but I can always find another place, to shift the narrative. Because there are
Yeah.
so many different places, so different cultures, so many different perspectives. So I know I'm not confined by my environment. I just need to find or create an environment that I feel free. So I aim, so like, I went through a lot of transitions as you introduced. And every time I made a new decision, every time I decide to transit to another lifestyle, another role, everyone was thought I was crazy. But for me, it was just changing perspective. And if you find something that I can do it here, it's okay. I can just, like change to another scenery, another group of environment, even another country, then it's possible. So it's really empowering for me.
Yeah, with a lot of people, if there's like a problem, they just sit in the problem, but you look for a different way to change things, different narrative, different perspective there. And that seems a much
Yeah.
better way of dealing with things as opposed to just facing a problem. It's almost like it's a challenge to you. It's an obstacle. How do I overcome this? And then move on at the same time. So going around the world, you're doing all these amazing things. You've got an amazing job, but then you realize that you're getting burnt out and then you're getting into a deep depression. Is that right?
I came from different time. Like I went
Yeah.
into depression on 23 because I was saying no to all the things I desire. And there was a huge discrepancy because I was a straight student and I got job in the best companies. Not in a societal definition, I am the kind of young lady have a bright future. I didn't
Yeah.
feel that because I was denying myself, but just nobody knew. And so that discrepancy at the end pushed me into depression. And then out of that depression, I decided to pursue my dream in Italy. The burnout, I actually realized that after 2 years, I could cooperate. When I was actually initiated into my intuitive flow and awakening. So it was very interesting. Everyone saw that burnout, you are going to find it in when you are on a job. I am a type A high achiever. Like pushing my limit is like something natural to me. So I wouldn't, this is also one thing, like people thought we would know we were burnt out. No, like people like high achievers, we don't. And actually acknowledging that we are burning out, it's not acceptable to ourselves because it means we are a failure. That means we are weak. So
Yeah.
I just realized that I didn't relate myself to that label at all until 2 years after I left corporate.
When did you realize something's not? Because we're only humans. There's only so much we can do in a day. There's just only so much. So
Yeah.
because you've got that narrative of I'm a high achiever and this can't happen to me. When did you go, do you know what? I'm really struggling here. What happened there?
So I left corporate. So I wanted to create a different kind of style that's built around surfing. So it's from city to countryside, from big buildings to the ocean hut or whatever. And then I wanted at the same time I wanted to create a business. So it was this coaching, mentoring practice for myself. And the way I created it's in the old way, like in the corporate, I put in structure, I put in strategy, I have my vision board, I have my to-do list, I color my calendar for different kind of or different kind of tasks, and I have another external commitment. I was editing a book, I was involving in this community, and I was mentoring this. And but at the same time, I start noticing myself, I always wreck my own plan. If I put into a schedule, I somehow intentionally I find a way to sabotage that plan. I'm really good at I used to be a person who was really good at delivering commitment, but I realized that I didn't have the motivation to deliver the commitment. And I just couldn't. There was some mysterious way I just couldn't. I missed the commitment oftentimes. And that was the point, when it opened, when it over and over again, this really contradict to who I knew I was.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, something is going on here because I know who I was. I know I could deliver. I know I could achieve. But if I keep if I keep doing what brought me my last successes and it didn't work, something is here. I needed to relook at everything
Yeah.
because it's not working anymore. At some point, I need to acknowledge it's not working anymore. It's not nothing wrong with me, but my always just not working. So I guess this pivot in openness started to create synchronicity that I started meeting my first mentor. She was a shaman, so she worked with plants. Not necessarily psychedelic kind of plants, but in general, the plant
Yeah.
extracts to tuning into intuition or, recalibrating the body. So that's how everything like the huge initiation into the energy work that I'm also doing right now with my clients. So it just nothing work. I have to really acknowledge nothing worked. The old way didn't work.
Yeah. So when you realized that you just couldn't focus, did you realize it was actually burnout, or were you
No.
think something else? When did you realize it was burnout?
It was actually the mentor, the first Sherman mentor who told me like the energy of my body, it's like there's nothing there anymore.
Right.
It
You're on
was
empty.
it was empty, and it was not just it was like empty. It was like I am even house. I am the house image.
Right.
I was in doubt. I was skeptical because I was still surfing 4 hours a day, But since I already acknowledged like old way didn't work, I was open to try all new ways. I was open for advice and experiment. So I listened to advice, adjust my way of like moving through my day slowly, and I put into a different kind of practice. And when I'm willing to recalibrate myself,
Yeah.
my body just fell apart. I used to surf for 4 hours. There was a period during that recovery, I couldn't even walk up a tiny slope. That was that drastic. Our body can actually pump up a lot of energy if we command it. At the moment, I'm willing to accept the truth about myself. My body knew it had a space to finally recover. So I just collapsed. It was pretty scary because I didn't recognize myself. I was open for the experiment.
So how long do you think it took you to recover from the burnout when you realized that that's exactly what it was?
When I kind of put a timeline or the momentum. I took a 2 years pause, like full pause. I kind of invoke all the previous commitment. I say no to all the connections. And like, I only have a really tight circle of people, probably 5. And my family apart, like 5 people. And I live that life, I just do like slow swimming, and then I rest a lot. I ate a lot. I used to eat for 5 people in a day. I was joking like I was went for 5 people. It was like always a table full of things, and people, if they look at the photo, they thought I was like inviting people. I said, no, these are all for me. So like this period took like about 2 years, and then slowly I sense the energy to engage more, or I sense the energy that I'm okay to start thinking things that is more structural. Then I know like that heavy recovering period, it's over.
Yeah.
It took me probably another year and a half to be really ready to engage with the external world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you do to make sure that you never burnt out again? What changes did you make, do you think?
Through the process of recovering, I also learned how to be aware of the subtle fluctuation of my body and my energy. So I now, like I can say, I'm very, very acute on knowing when I'm in flow, when my body needs rest, even just a little bit, even just 5 minutes. I am very attuned to the need of my energy and my body. So nowadays it's that I know rest is very important. The rest is not just like sleeping, like sometimes I do the painting, the drawing, or I was cutting, doing paper just like randomly, not to master it,
Yeah.
just create space, or I have trampoline on the side of my desk. So if I sit, I feel like my energy starts to turning down, then I would jump on the trampoline for like a minute or something. So like
Yeah.
I am very consciously regulating myself throughout the day. And if I sense that sometimes like this is a flow, everybody have it. Like sometimes we feel like we have very clear mind. We are in a good flow in putting into step strategy and actions. But there are also days we feel like the mind is kind of not on my side. We all have that feeling. It could be because of fatigue, it could be we in a small transition and so on. And now when I feel that, I don't grind myself anymore. I will just go do something creative, or I will do a bit more of meditating or envisioning, like envision the
Yeah.
vision
Yeah.
or embody the energy instead of, no, I still have the to-do list. So I learn how my energy flow. And actually this part how I am like supporting my clients to really learn the flow of the energy. And that's how I play, like I nurture myself, like I cook for myself, I pay attention to what I eat, and I only surround with people who are change
Yeah.
makers, creatives. So that
Yeah.
that arrangement also allow me to support myself instead of the kind of energy that actually drain me.
Yeah. Yeah, that is great. For me, as a therapist, I always say we're a product of our environment. If we've got good
Yeah.
people around us, we're going to feel good. If we've got bad people around us, we feel bad. So you've changed that. Obviously, you're aware constantly of how you're feeling, whereas most people ignore how they're feeling and they carry on.
Yeah.
There's consequences. How do you deal with a stressful day? If you're having a day that's really stressful, how do you deal with that?
So my stressful day, so the way I describe it is when I feel like I'm tense and kind of like my energy is closed and I'm really in my logical mind. So usually my mind will produce the kind of story that's create fear, create more tension, create more stress. So that's a stressful day. I would remove myself from work. It was really counterintuitive because most people think that if I do more, if I accomplish more, I'm going to release the stress. Actually, that is not true. I will remove myself, not breaking the rule. I will never do anything when my energy is in contraction. So I will do other things to open up my energy first. So I could go make myself a smoothie and concentrate on the smoothie and be mindful enjoying that smoothie. It's just a small act to open myself up or to distance myself with that stress. We all have stress days, and sometimes it feels so bad because I am enmeshed with the stress. I recognize myself as stress itself, but actually I'm not. So I'm just doing something that will create a distance. Oh, I have stress. I can have compassionate conversation with my stress. And it doesn't need to be long. I can just ask myself, I'm stressed. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to make my smoothie or water my plants and just be with my plants, be with my smoothie and enjoy the abundance or the smell or whatever, that is bringing me to the natural sensory of my body. And then ask myself, how come I'm stressed? That's the story I tell myself. And again, we are storytelling animals and it's just a
Yeah.
perspective. So kind of perspective, I can pivot from here, from this one I'm telling myself. So this is a bestly constant practice for me. It's natural to me now.
That's a lot of practice and it's so good. And you basically what you're saying is about being in the moment, whether it's water and plants,
Yeah,
where you're meditating or whatever it might be. It's about being in that moment and focusing on
yeah,
that time and then figuring out what's stressing you, how to manage it there as well.
yeah.
So how long do you think it took you to get to where you are now to have mastered that belief system that you've got?
I'm tuning my own capacity to pivot ever since my depression. But once I get into it, it's actually very quick. Like I don't dwell in bad emotions, like right after my depression, because I started like awareness of it's a perspective, it's a story I told myself, and I know how to use the technique and tools. So it's really quick. It's just we are, or whether we are willing to accept what we believe is actually false. It's actually a lot of discomfort at the beginning. But I've done this for so long. How can it be wrong? And then again, it's like admitting we are in the wrong in some way. So once that threshold, it's like, and there's nothing that really troubles me for so long.
That's great because so many people are stressed and they've got so many worries and they don't deal with it there as well. So for you to be able to do that is great. And with what you're doing now, helping other people, how long have you been doing that for?
I started coaching people actually when I was really young, but I'm doing this full time as an intuitive coach and mentor for about 5 years.
5 years. And what made you decide to become an that's a new one for intuitive coach. What tell me a little bit about that?
Because like I use this word because there's also like all this mindset, my now there are so many modalities. So I don't really work with mindset. Of course, I talk to people. We use language to communicate. It depends on the clients. I usually tune in their subconsciousness or their energy. I'm an intuitive, so I actually receive stuff. The people maybe not knowing. I guide them through intuition instead of their questions. So I can sense when people ask me a question, I was able to deep dive into their subconsciousness and then ask a different kind of question or using different kind of guidance. And sometimes I do the somatic when someone is really overthinking, like the story just keep firing up. So conversation is no use because the story just keep firing up. So I will do a bit of the visualization, meditation, and also somatic with the clients. And the thing I do is that I basically have no preset of framework. When I'm going to work with the clients, hosting a workshop, as long as I have basic information, I will receive guidance as how to start and what kind of material to prepare.
Yeah.
And then I would just go from there. Depends on the interaction, depends on the feedback, and depends on the openness. Because I am not giving answers. I am supporting and guiding them to finally know and find and know and connect with the answer within my clients. I'm not an answer giver.
Right. I get that. It's like me when I speak to a client, I do different types of therapies. And when you listen to what they're saying or whatever it might be, you get an idea of what type of therapy to use with them as well. And it sounds like when you listen to them, the connection you've got, it gives you an idea of, all right, we need to do this. This is going to help the client.
Yeah. And also, I work with uh, the vibrational energy, if we put it into words. So basically, people who were open to work with me, they are willing to accept that they are more beyond the surface because we could have this conversation here. But suddenly, I have clients that have experience when they got offline, they started a headache or suddenly have diarrhea, the body started acting up. That's because the energy it's recalibrating. And so they have to know that it's more happening and they will know everything that's happening, logical, illogical. It's something at work and they are willing to be in that. That's how what I call intuitive because my intuition and my energy with all interaction, we create a third body of activation for both of us. And they will work in a way that probably the human minds will not comprehend. The clients who come to me usually is willing to sit with that, and they stop normalizing things. They will
Right.
see everything as something to pay attention and to be with. So basically, they will open up their own intuition. They will start to know their inner knowing or inner guidance slowly after working with me.
With what you do, is it something that you've trained for a lot, or is it something that's natural, that's just you've got that other people might not have?
I didn't have any certificate regarding to a certain modality. A lot of things I came to do or I intuitive think this is a good thing to work with these clients. Of course, that's my personal experience because I went through a lot of modality on my own and I kind of marinate they in a way that I could work with other people. That's one thing. And sometimes, I just let the flow guide me. Like a lot of my visualization is not prescripted. It's like in a session and I feel like there's something needs to be taken out of here and creating a new environment. So I will use my language and the guided meditation to create a new environment that's so surreal, maybe. So that was like a bit of my intuition, and I know how the energy flow is working with it. It's really hard to put
Yeah,
in words, but I do like to your
sure.
question,
Yeah.
I don't have any certification on a certain type of modality.
And with your clients, what are they coming out feeling like afterwards? Do they feel like a weight's been lifted of them? Do they feel more at peace with themselves, more in control? What would you say one of your clients will feel after they've been through?
Okay, so firstly, they will feel like a lot of certainty with themselves. So if they feel a lot, because they feel like they know themselves finally. And
Yeah, I get
instead
that.
of, like navigating the external parameters and then use a parameter to judge them. So when we use external parameters, we fluctuate too much because I
Yeah,
don't know when and how people is going to judge me at certain moment, like per um my behavior. But when we have that certainty, that is kind of a reference, just a reference, but we have this certainty of where we stand. So when we have internal certainty, we actually feel more in control. It's not about whether I am really controlling things, but that sense of in control is very empowering. The second change they feel is that they navigate life with more certainty and with more clarity, because basically my process always will set intentions, and intentions is it's part of the clarity. And since they have the certainty, they know external comment criteria is just a reference point for them to whether I want to incorporate or not. So they have much more capacity to reach a clarity and decide for themselves. They are become
yeah,
more decisive, and they also they also have more capacity that, for example, in the beginning we discussed for mistakes. So
yeah,
the action is actually quicker, their result is actually quicker because the
yeah,
task and mistake is kind of irrelevant anymore in whatever they want to create. For example, job hunting, client creation, or raise their price. I work with solopreneur as well. They won't have that so much judgment, whether it's logical, illogical, they are more in tune with what they feel right about themselves, and they will just go for it. Like quote unquote mistake, but it's okay. They move forward because they are not confined by that anymore.
not
So the
confined. Yeah,
result is quicker. Yeah.
they got more. I'm guessing they go out there afterwards with more confidence in themselves because they're not sort
Yeah.
of. Yeah.
Yeah.
How long would a client come to you for? Is there a fixed amount of sessions that they would have, like 3 months, or is it ongoing? Does it depend on the individual?
Now, how I do is that because I am guiding people to link into their flow. So we will discuss the session they want to work with me, and I don't require them to show up every week. I will ask them to follow your intuition, and every time session, the time needs to be integrated is different. It's not just the mind, the body also needs to know. And so, for example, they will say, they purchase 5 sessions. And for me, it's like 5 sessions. They need to use it within 6 months. So within these 6 months, they can work, they want to work with me like one week each week for 3 sessions, and then take a break, and then I use another month that I allow them to do their flow. On the average, my clients work with me for like 10, 12 sessions. That was kind of a sweet spot,
Yeah.
to pivot, to practice, and then I help them to recalibrate their practice, because we move to the new habit, we tend to fall back to the old habit, and the old judgment will come up. So
Yes.
with me to be there to mentor and recalibrate
Yeah.
on the initial stage, 3 months is sweet spot for them. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I am everyone, the fitness for everyone is different. So when they
Yeah.
come to me, we will discuss. They can start from like fewer sessions and see whether they want to extend or they just want to stay with fewer sessions. And not everyone wants to be open up widely in a go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that sounds great. It sounds like it's like obviously you got your 3 months there of like standard, but it's like then like in therapy with myself, it's focused on specifically how it's going to benefit that client for however long that might be there as well.
Yeah,
And I'd imagine
yeah,
you've got clients that come back to you again and have more
yeah,
sessions. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine that there as well. And with yourself in the future, what's your plans with everything there? Are you just going to keep doing this, or you expect? 'Cause it looks like you're so busy with everything that you're doing.
So going forward, I think the next 12 months will be the focus of I was slowly launching self-paced program. So for people who really want to try and know what this work is about and with the budget. But they, of course, like I have all the free video about what I'm about, what my program about, what's the
Yeah.
methodology already, and it will come out more. So in the 6 months will be, there were several self-paced program that is not in the incubating stage. I have one to create clarity from inside out that's already out on the platform I'm partnered with. I will have now I foresee we have two circles. So it will be the groups for exploration. And then I started having 1 year retainer. So I really want to work with people who are committed and they are willing to take time. I offer like really um how do you say um it's very high to work with me with 1 year compared to the single session fee and everything. So I offer 1 year retainer on one-on-one right now. So I will be more I'm in podcasts, like I had a lot of interviews as well. So mostly in my work, there will be a lot of self-paced for different level of awareness and consciousness. So from very tangible of creating clarity to, how do you do healing for yourself on the way of creating the dream life, and also like how to embody the message of the soul. These will be in place. And then I am starting groups. So I will creating circles. That is kind of co-creating space. Again, I'm not teaching, I'm not telling answers. That's not what I do. But it's a co-creating for people who are in transition, who really
Yeah.
want to dive deep on their inner power so they can create better. So there will be one. So far, it's going to be scheduled in end of October, and then more for next year. And I'm traveling. So I will be traveling also again quite intensively in October for 3 months. And the intuition is guiding me to be in Europe for a while next year. So I don't know. That's kind of like on the horizon. I will only know when the moment arrives.
It's definitely a lot going on. It sounds really fantastic there, and I think the approach that you've got is so interesting. I can see why it would have so many benefits to people. Literally clear their mind, get them to focus, open up there as well, and make such a difference there. I think it's just brilliant. I think it's
Yeah.
so interesting, and I really appreciate you coming on the podcast today and sharing it with us, because it's a different perspective. It's different to what a lot of people are used to there, but I can see why it would be so successful there as well. And really looking forward to all the things that you're doing in the future, because obviously I'll follow you on like Instagram and LinkedIn there as well, so it's good to be seeing what you're up to there as well. All your links will be in the description there, so people can click on and get in contact with you there as well. But Shumin, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you so much for allowing me to share. And I'm really passionate about this inner work to
Of course.
manifest outer reality. So thank you so much for giving me the space to spread the
My,
message.
yeah, my pleasure. Thank you so much.